Yeah. Ma'am, can we hear you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Over to you, ma'am.
Done. I think though I'm talking about the subject, I think the nature is also testing us whether we are actually able to connect with each other without any of this technology. So we talk when we discuss, we also discuss about when we talk about internet, we talk about inner network. So the inner network is actually the soul network where we are all connected with each other in this universe. So what we actually do in the spiritual quotient is the ability of yours to understand the place, who you are in essence, how to use your body, mind, and intellect to know yourself, and always be aware that we are that self, rather than being identified with your emotion, being identified with your logic, being identified with your body. What it means by identified is like when somebody calls you names, okay, suddenly we become very angry, we upset, we forget that we are so and so. Okay, somebody calls you monkey, you feel suddenly you are a monkey, then you react. Why do we feel so? Though we know in ourselves we are not that, but somehow we try to identify. It's like this. So I identified in my body. So somebody tells me I'm not human, I'm upset, though I know I'm a human being. Okay, then somebody calls me a fool, then I know I get upset because I feel that some my intellectual ability is not understood or acknowledged or recognized. When somebody tells me my logic is no good, I feel very upset. My someone tells me your emotion is too much, you can't be so angry, you can't react like this, and then we feel bad, our emotions are not respected. So why do we feel so? Because we feel that I am the anger, I am my logic, I am this body, instead of the I inside. So that's where this disconnect is. When we are actually disconnected from the fact, the understanding, the grounding is not there, where I really understand that I am the soul. I am not this body or mind or the intellect. If I understand my body, mind, and intellect as my tools, I wouldn't be upset because my tool cannot be the same as yours, right? Every tool is not the same. Everyone has a knife, it doesn't have the same sharpness. Everyone uses a screwdriver, it doesn't have the same kind of cut. Each screwdriver is used for different purposes at different times. So you cannot say that I only have this and this will do for me for everything. No, it's not possible. So each one of us have developed certain skills, sharpened our tools because of our experiences. You did not take care of your body, you became ill. Then you know how to take care of yourself, you start doing so many things, and it works for you. But doesn't mean that it works for everybody else, because I don't know. The thing is, I can only show them these all work for me, these were my problems, this is how I got rid of it, so you can also try. So I will come to understanding of spirituality in nursing. How does it help us in really helping people? Okay, we take that separately. The second is when your mind, the tool of mind, if you sharpen it, certain areas, like when you have had an experience of being separated from your loved one at one point of time. So anybody who has the same feeling, suddenly your mind, it knows, it is already experienced. You have that tool, the skill is already there. So you pick up. But when you don't know how it is to not have a parent, you can't understand when somebody else has the same thing. You don't understand how it is because you've never experienced it. Your tool is not fit enough to understand that. So you know nursing, okay. So you don't know how a doctor's logic works because you're not a doctor. You're not trained to be a doctor. You don't know how a cleaner's logic works because you don't necessarily do that job. You're not professionally trained for the job. So you can understand from outside, but you don't know the essence of it because you're really not used your intellect to understand that in depth, where somebody else is focused on it. So intellectually, mentally, physically, your body may not have the right kind of skills. You will not be bodybuilder, so you won't do very good in the gym. You're not a runner, you won't be very good athlete. You've never run in your life. Can you do a 100-meter sprint? No, we'll not be able to do the way a runner does. So we are not used up, you're not trained ourselves to do certain things. So the thing is, you need to know when you're in a situation, you don't know how to deal with it with your body, mind, or intellect, you try to train. So what do I do? There's a whole set of people, there's a whole set of circumstances, whole set of emotions. How do I know what to pick and how to train myself? That's where your soul helps you, because the soul isn't connected with the universe. The soul understands what is that learning which is there in the atmosphere. So
Yeah.
somebody who's actually soul wise strong can read, can understand. Like how I can understand your mind. If I have a very smart body, I can understand your body. If I have very smart mind, I can understand your mind. If I have very intellectually very smart, I can understand everybody's logic because I understand my logic. Okay. So likewise, if I can tune myself like a radio, it tunes to different. Like if you tune it, you can read to any locations. It can bring in any kind of music. Like if you tune to the universe, you are able to tune to different individuals. So that's how in olden days, people, if you look at Indian literature or culture or whatever, a lot of learning is happen from inside. Learning is not like from textbook to textbook of any great people who have actually whose books have been there, whom we read for our thing. All of that learning has come from inside.
Yeah.
The way they looked and what they saw from the universe, the way I am placed in the universe and how I see myself and how I see others in what light in different experience. This is what I've written.
Ji.
So the basic knowledge is there. Okay. All you have to do is tune and read and use it. That's why all the spiritual masters or whoever you call it, guides or mentors or whatever, they try to tell you, you look for your answers within, because your answers are unique for you and it is there inside you. So all that you have to do is to know how to go inside and see your answers, which will be right for yourself, because every other answer may not be really right for you for the right time. So when as nurses, when we are helping, so in the helping profession, what happens is we don't understand how to help. So what we do, two things. When we don't understand, we move away. Okay. Or what we do is when you go in and then you try to live their life. So any relationship, it's not only nursing profession, any relationship, what we try to do with people is that either we try and get into someone's life and try to offer ourselves. And when you do that, what happens is you try to give answers for them. But those answers may not be right for them. So what they do is they will not seek answer from within. They will always depend you for your answer, for their answers. And sometimes when the answers go wrong, they blame you for it. And you feel bad because you have put a lot of efforts. It's not like I can understand myself, but I can't understand you. So to understand you, I have to put a lot of effort in understanding me. And I try to go in deeply, understand, and then try to come up with an answer for it. And immediately there's a rejection. You feel bad. You feel like, why should I help them? And you kind of slip back. You don't do anything. When you don't do anything, what happens is you feel that you're not using your skills. You're not actually helping anybody. So the real kind of help, or what we call the compassionate caring, that word compassion, the real meaning of compassion is not, uh, you know, doing for somebody. It's actually making people able for handling themselves. So building their capacity. That's real compassion. So if how can we do that? If we understand that I am the soul, you are the soul, my capability and your capability is different only because our tools have not been used in the same way it's used by you and me. So I try to tell you, okay, I had this situation, this is what I did, you try it out. So instead what we do, we take the tool and we try to do that, sharpening them or do whatever, and you try to tell them, no, this tool is no good, do use that. Sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work at all. So basically it's all about understanding that I am capable as you are and you are capable as me, and your judgments are about my tools, is not about me. So then you don't really get deeply hurt and you're dejected and you're frustrated and all that doesn't happen. You just think, okay, he doesn't understand my logic because I don't think we both grew up in the same atmosphere with the same kind of things. So how can he understand me? How can we expect that somebody will behave the way we want them to? Because we don't do that. We can't live according to everyone's expectation. When you try to do that, that's when you feel like somewhere you're losing the inner voice, the real thing that's trying to guide you. When you don't listen to it, you get into conflict. The inner conflict starts there. So a lot of people have a lot of inner conflicts, and we are not able to identify that because you don't understand these concepts of who am I. And the time that you take for spiritual practices is the time when you go back and sit and see you differently from your body, mind, and logic, and see, okay, oh, this is where I am, this is my actual position, now let me look at this. So that's why introspection is important.
Yeah.
In nursing, you talk about reflective learning. This is important because you go back and see whether your tools are actually in accordance to what it is needed, how it has to be used. So this practice is necessary. So when, as like any skill has to be practiced over years, the skill of using oneself, the skill of using our tools has to be learned with the help of a person who has actually done it. That is the reason for having a master or a guru or a mentor or whatever you call it, the person. So it's like this: you have a wonderful vehicle, okay, and you have a good GPS system. You have to travel from Kochi to Delhi by flight. You have got a wonderful, I would say I would rather take a smaller route. I'm from Cochin to Trivandrum, whatever, so I can drive, right? So I'm driving. I'm using a beautiful car, which is very new. And I know how to drive, so I'm driving it. And I have a GPS system. I will reach my destination much more faster if the roads are good enough, right? So this is like my tools are good enough, and I have a very good master who can actually uh, drive me through. Then it's easy. If I don't know to drive, I have to get somebody to help me to go in that. Even though I have a beautiful vehicle, I have a wonderful GPS system, I don't know how to drive. You have to learn to drive first. That's important. But the roads are like your circumstances. The circumstances also have to be somewhere right. So how do we, when there's this difficult circumstances, all you can do is I have to go to the airport. I have to reach there at 5 o'clock. If I start at 2 o'clock and I believe that everything is all right, I have a very good vehicle, I've got a GPS system, I know how to drive, and I'll reach there in 2 hours. But then when you come in between, there is a traffic jam or something happens. What do? You get frustrated because it's not in your control. Circumstances are not in your control. So what do? You probably would say that I might be able to, when you have this inner communication, what happens is I get a feel, maybe I should start a bit early. I know all of you would have had this in your experiences. You suddenly have a feel that this is not right. That's not right. I might have to do this. I might have to get maybe start 3 hours early. Yeah. It's just a gut feeling, and you start it, and and when you listen to that voice, and most of the time you'll be right, because the inner voice tells you, okay, that something is going to happen. And then you'll be actually not frustrated. You will reach on time and you'll be peaceful. But if you're not prepared, then it takes a bit of training to get through the circumstances. So spirituality actually prepares you to face the circumstances. It doesn't change anything. It just prepares you to face the circumstances in life and not be so affected that you're not so excited, neither are you too depressed. You just try to have a balance of your feelings, you balance your logic, you know how to interact with people. And if you're not effective, you're okay, because I cannot be perfect. Only God is perfect. Everything else is not. So I can accept my mistakes. I don't feel my ego is going down because I have this thing has happened and somebody's not looked at me or smiled at me. I feel dejected. No, because we don't recognize ourselves. We always feel we need to be acknowledged. The moment you start recognizing ourselves, the need for acknowledgement comes down. It doesn't come down completely, but you don't depend on that. Okay, that's a difference. So there is, I think, a few questions that I had.
Yeah. And before taking these questions, I have a one thing. Ma'am, please define spirituality SQ in a one line.
Spirituality, SQ is
और
the
first of all
measurement. Actually,
better, हाँ, spirituality को आप एक line में define करिए and then SQ, because you know we are having so many viewers and listeners who just joined us, so it'll be nice that they will be having this one liner definition so that they can imbibe it. Yes, ma'am.
yeah, actually SQ is not a very nice term, but it's like you have to say something about something. It's like a measure of how much you understand about yourself, about others, and your place in this universe and the purpose of life. In nutshell, basically, if you understand yourself, I think everything else just follows it. But if you have to say it more elaborately, it's like understanding myself, understanding others, my purpose in life, and how do I relate to others and the universe. That's what the spirituality means, and the ability to assimilate that into your life is your spiritual quotient.
Yeah. So we have a first question by Sri Devi ma'am. Why it is so difficult for people to understand SQ?
Because we are not trained.
Yeah, that's a similar question I was having. That why
The
people?
thing is, because we are not taught the kind of logic that we were supposed to be long ago. In previous, I think the older generation, I wouldn't call them older. Actually, they are much younger than to many young people now, because by heart they are a lot younger, and you're not lot enthusiastic than youngsters. You know why? Because everything that we were trained when we were young, we're supposed to inculcate this spiritual feeling without even realizing it. Okay, in our culture, we say Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Aditi Devo Bhava. That means you see the God in your mother, your father, your teacher, and then the guest. So that's like in order. Okay, you start with your home, and the most closest person is your mother. So you start seeing God there. That God means the inner spirit. You see the soul there, and you start. So how do you do that? Small behaviors. Through small behaviors, you try respect, touching, feet, all that is like showing respect. It's not. It's a ritual. As an understanding that there is a soul inside her. So the closest person is easier for us, and then it grows from mother to father to teachers. So teachers not a part of family. Teachers is like somebody outside, but then there's something that you get from them. So something, when people give you something, those people you respect. And guest, they don't give you anything. They just walk into your house someday, maybe relative, maybe somebody, but they're not at all. Sometimes related, sometimes not related. So you grow from respecting your own people to respecting everybody around you. So
Yeah.
nobody's told you this is what it means. You've never been trained.
Yeah.
Though we all practiced, and somehow, somewhere internally, when you have actually practiced this in childhood, and you can never insult a guest. Because suddenly when somebody walks in, the first thing you ask is, chai pani lege. Without that, you will not, next line will not go. If you don't give water, you don't. In our houses, always, all the women will agree, you'll have at least one portion of food extra. You don't cook only for yourself. And if you all there, I think the next generation probably don't have that kind of a feeling. But every house, invariably, all the mothers would have one extra portion of food with them. Because there's always this feeling that somebody might walk in of not eaten, and you cannot be only giving for only yourself. There's a ritual of keeping something like pray before you eat. In every religion, there is a prayer before eating, and you thank God. So Bhagavad Gita mein hai, in Bible it is there, in Muslim religion also, they all pray. What they say is, you are the giver of this food. I know without your ability, nothing will be digested nor absorbed in my body. Okay. So God, let this food and bless all the people who have given me this, and let me eat it, and let me have the strength from this food. If that prayer, everything goes in, it gives you the strength. It doesn't change into a poison. When food becomes poison is when somebody is making it. In every house, whenever they made food, they were not supposed to. Usually people don't talk, they pray when they cook. A lot of people do that, because that the mind has the capacity to transfer the emotions into anything, so it stays as a memory within anything that you relate to. So this is like it's a huge science. If you have to explore it, you can dive into it, and you can millions of years. Even if you try in, you'll get more and more knowledge, because universe is full of surprises. It's full of knowledge. So
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Actually, we keep listening you, and moreover, this topic is my favorite. So for me, I can listen you hours and hours. But before taking our next question, I really wanted to ask another question, similar question, like how we can develop, because you said that it is not, we are not trained for SQ. So how we can learn this SQ, and especially the youngster, children, and now in a professional life, how we can, develop this learning, and how as a teacher we can inculcate this into the other students.
So the thing is, initially, I think the first thing is you have to practice certain things. You have to practice that understanding, because how much ever lecture you give, unless they see you practicing it, nobody's going to learn from you. And I think you have to build in those exercises in your curriculum. If you are nursing, whatever profession, I think the curriculum has to kind of, bring you into this concept of understanding of who you are, the self-awareness. The first important lesson is self-awareness, and then how you connect to the universe. That one basic lesson you learn, rest of things will naturally come. The only thing that you can do as a teacher is to inculcate that inquisitiveness in people, because this is an inner science. It's not, it cannot be taught like a lesson. Everyone has to go through their own journey to really understand it. So what real great masters do in spiritual guidance is that they just let you go. They just stay with you, and they say, okay, now when I explore, and I say, oh no, I don't know what to do now. You go back and say, no, I don't know. So they'll say, okay, these are option, explore, go. So you have to do it yourself. They don't do it for you. So all those spiritual masters are actually those people who are able to guide you through, because they have gone through this, so they understand it. There are different levels of people, like teachers, who have 20 years of teaching experience, 15 years of teaching experience, 5 years of experience. They're different. But doesn't mean that somebody with 15 years of experience have the same kind of teaching ability with a 5-year-old. Because sometimes somebody who's got 5 years of experience, they're intensely passionate, of really spend their whole time there, they might be far smarter than a 15-year experience per person. So it's not about the experience or years that you spend, but it's about the passion or this amount of effort you put to understand to it that makes the difference. And
Amazing.
also your ability, your there's so many things which are connected. I don't think I'll speak about all that now, because it needs a lot more clarification, and it's very unique to people. It's like this, like I have to go from destination A to destination B. I can choose a car, a bus, a bike. I can go by walking. I can go by any method. It's my choice, right? And why do I choose it? I have my reasons.